With the canopy now installed, we're going to show you how to install the indirect-direct cylinder ring combination, starting with the cylinder. To begin, determine the desired mounting height of your fixture. Based upon that mounting height, establish what the corresponding distance is from the bottom surface of the canopy to the top of the cylinder through utilizing the indirect light engine assembly. To do so, loosen the nylon lock nuts on the top side of each of the grippers pre-attached to the braided aircraft cable. Depress the top portion of the gripper to move it up and down along the aircraft cable. Adjust the grippers to move the indirect light engine into place. Move the grippers to the underside of the light engine to act as a temporary platform for the light engine to sit upon. Apply a little bit of pressure to the top side of the light engine and level the unit. Check the measurement from the ceiling to the top of the light engine to confirm that it's in line with the target established distance to achieve your desired mounting height. If the distance checks out and the unit is level, leaving the indirect light engine in place, measure 2 inches from the bottom surface of the indirect light engine and mark each of the aircraft cables at said distance using a permanent marker. Now, using Felco-type cable cutters, cut each of the cables at the marked location. Do your best to ensure a clean cut, as it will help facilitate the installation of the aircraft cable into the mating grippers in the preceding steps. With each of the 3 cables cut, on the grippers below the indirect light engine, loosen each of the 3 lock nuts and temporarily move the light engine out of the way so that you can complete the next couple of steps. Now you want to measure 1 inch from the bottom of each of the cut cables and mark with a permanent marker. Using 16-gauge wire strippers, clamp down at the marked location and strip the outer sheathing and nylon insulation from each of the aircraft cables. It's a little easier to achieve a cleaner cut by rotating the wire strippers 360 degrees a couple of times prior to removing the sheathing. As mentioned earlier, each cylinder suspension cable is comprised of 2 conductive elements which are isolated with a nylon barrier throughout the length. So what you want to be mindful of when making these cuts is ensuring that the conductors do not come in contact with one another. Again, this is not a safety concern as it is low voltage. However, if the 2 conductors come into contact with one another, it will prevent the luminaire from functioning properly. Taking this into consideration, once the sheathing has been removed, trim any excess outer sheathing strands that may have been created during the stripping process. In addition, you can twist the stripped cut of the sheathing and pull it back in order to clean it up further and reduce the potential of any contact between the 2 conductors further on during installation. Now it's time to install the cylinder. Start by aligning the circuits with one another by matching up the respective labeled markings on each of the drops: AA, BB, CC. Loosen the knurled nut on the inner cylinder grippers. Plug the designated cable into each of the respective grippers. Make sure each is properly seated. You will hear an audible click, which will confirm that the gripper has properly secured to the cable. Check that the top of the fixture is level and tighten down the knurled nuts once level to secure the fixture in place. Now you can bring the indirect light engine back down. Make each of the respective wire connections using a small wire nut or quick connector. Adjust the grippers into their respective pockets, making sure that no portion of any gripper is sitting above the top inner surface of the heatsink. Tuck all wire connections into each of their respective pockets. Align the indirect light engine, and secure in place using a single 1/4-inch hex drive screw. As shown, the top surface of the indirect light engine should be flush with the top surface of the cylinder sidewall. This completes the installation of the cylinder. Ring cable drops on the cylinder are pre-cut at the factory to the appropriate desired lengths. Therefore, it's advised that these cables remain as is and do not get modified any further in the field. To install the ring, loosen each of the 3 grippers located on the top surface of the ring. Align each labeled gripper location with its corresponding labeled cable, and plug the cables into each of their respective grippers. Once engaged, push each cable down until it stops. Again, make sure that each gripper emits at least 1 audible click to identify that the cable and gripper are properly engaged with one another. Now is a good time to do one final check to ensure that the ring is level. Provided the leveling process was done properly with the cylinder, you should for the most part be in good shape at this point. If it appears off a bit, you are able to make some slight adjustments in each of the cable gripper locations for some last-minute refinement. Secure each of the knurled nuts, remove the polarity labels, and that concludes the installation of the ring.